Alright, so I went for a long run of sorts this morning. It was about 19 miles, so not super long, but still a good effort. The run itself was about 5 miles of fairly flat terrain with a little bit of rolling towards the end of that 5 miles, and then about 3 miles of a rocky climb, fairly slow, and then another 3 miles of a steep rocky descent. And then the last 9 miles or so were fairly flat and runnable. My dad was out there with a camera. He also had some food, so we were able to practice sort of the transition at aid stations, because that's something I don't think I did very well in my last race. I think I took too long at aid stations, so I kept my watch running for those stops and tried to make it fairly fast and fairly efficient. And then I was also experimenting with some other sorts of nutrition. I'll play the video first, so I'll show you the actual run here in a second, and then I'll talk about what I was trying in terms of nutrition. So here's the long run. I think we got a little bit less than 7 to go. So what, 7:01?
Nice.
So the average pace for that was 8:24, which is pretty good for a run like this. A lot of the terrain's fairly rocky, and I split a couple of high 9-minute miles on some of those steep parts. Even the downhills is significantly slower than the flats for that steep rocky part. But yeah, the rest of the run was good. The flat sections towards the end, I was running less than 7:30 miles, even a 7-minute mile in there, and then about 7:20s on the last couple miles in, and feeling pretty good. My legs are a little bit beat up. I kind of have a little bit of a sore quad or something going on, and then my Achilles, as usual, were a bit tight, but they'll be fine. So I mentioned nutrition earlier. I tried a few different things. I believe that while it is important to practice fat burning on your 90 to 2 hour runs sometimes, I think it's probably equally important, if not more important, to practice eating a lot of food, because that's something you're going to do in the race. And if you can't digest food in an ultra marathon, you're toast. I mean, I could go out and run 4 hours right now. If I tried to do it without any food, at 3 hours, 3.5 hours, I'd come to a complete stop, and most people would. Some people might be able to go a bit longer, but I think in general it's more important to make sure that your stomach can handle a decent amount of food while running. So anyway, with Sean O'Brien 100K coming up and Western States after that, both fairly long races, I had some real food at mile 9 and then mile like 14. The new thing I tried was sweet potato. I learned that I really like salted potatoes in these races, so sweet potato sounded like a good option because it has some sugar in it. and it's also similarly starchy to potatoes. As usual, I had Tailwind in my pouches. I was using caffeinated Tailwind. I'd like to switch to decaf at some point because in a really long race, if I was drinking nothing but caffeinated Tailwind for 10 to 20 hours, I could be consuming 15 cups of coffee worth of caffeine, and that's vastly too much. So I'll probably switch flavors at some point. So on top of the sweet potato and the Tailwind, I ate like a Trader Joe's peanut butter and jelly bar. Pretty much the same thing as a goo, not quite as refined for running and that sort of thing. But that was pretty much it. I probably ate about 600 calories in the 2 hours and 40 minutes that I was running. So not a whole lot, but definitely good practice with the stomach, which was totally fine. I didn't have any issues there. And everything else was pretty good. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you at Sean O'Brien soon, and then I will see you in Squaw in June. So bye everyone.